Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here today. I am hopping on today to talk about plying yarn. This isn't going to be Angora specific, this is just a spinning video, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's jump right into it. So this is a do as I say, don't do as I do kind of thing. I am working on getting ready for my conference this weekend and packing everything up, and I happened to notice on the shelf that I have a full basket of full bobbins from my Ashford Traveler spinning wheel, which means that these bobbins have probably been plied quite a few years ago now, and they're all Angora. I can tell just by the you can see some of the halo. Some of this is just fiber, but they have some halo on them. They're not all full, but there are a couple here that have some fiber on them. This one is something different. I do know that. That's CBM. I guess CBM. But so there's quite a bit of fiber on these yarn, one ply, and shame on me. You don't usually want to, you don't ever want to leave yarn on a bobbin for a long period of time. It's gonna get set, and actually this is not Angora, this is, I think this is alpaca. It will get very set in its ways on these. And I don't use my Ashford Traveler anymore. I have become a Spinolution girl. I did start out on the Ashford Traveler. I loved her. I still love her. I will not get rid of her. I actually have two Ashford wheels. I have the Kiwi 1 or Kiwi 2. My daughter-in-law has that right now. And then I have the Ashford Traveler, which was my very first wheel 20 years ago. And so I still have all these bobbins, and I have become a Spinolution girl. I love the Spinolution wheels. And so I thought that we would have a little fun today. This isn't going to be any fiber that I am going to sell or make anything for anyone, just because it has been on these bobbins for so long. So that's the first lesson in today's video. Don't leave your fiber or your yarn, your plies on your bobbins for extended periods of time. But there are 3 techniques that I want to show you how to ply your fiber. And we're going to start with the basic first one. I will be shifting the camera to get a good look on the top of the spinning wheel, so bear with me as I do that. But I am going to take, let's see, I think these are the 3 fullest. I'm going to take these 3. 2 of them are Angora, and I am almost positive that this one is alpaca, just by the looks of what's on here. So I don't think, yeah, that's Angora. So I've got 3 bobbins. So the basic ply method is to take 2, 3, maybe even 4 bobbins, put them on your Lazy Kate, and ply them together. My general way of doing it is 2 ply. Almost all of my fiber is 2 ply. But I thought today, for fun and just to kind of show you how to do it, we would do a 3 ply yarn. So I have 3 bobbins. Just because I'm using my Spinolution wheel, and I should have checked before I say this. Yes. Okay, so these do fit on my Lazy Kate that goes with my Spinolution wheel. Just because we're using the Spinolution wheel does not mean we can't use these bobbins full. So I have my Monarch here, and it has the Lazy Kate on it. I will kind of show you that too because it's kind of a cool design. And I'm going to show you how to 3 ply basic bobbin plying. We're also going to do Navajo plying today, and I'm going to do plying from a ball. So it's a ball with the inside and the outside, and you ply it together, but we'll get there in a minute. First, let me pause this, and I'm going to turn you around so you can see the top of my wheel and how I'm going to spin this. Hold on. Okay, I think this is gonna work. I wanted to show you first, this is my Monarch. I got the studio package, which came with the Lazy Kate and the yarn winder, the Nitty Knotty, and I don't have that here, but this is a package deal. The cool thing about this Lazy Kate, and it did take me a little getting used to it because my Ashford had the Lazy Kate built in right in front of my knees here, and so the yarn came right up. This obviously is on the back side of the wheel. There is a little technique that you have to learn to figure this out. Not learn, but it is different for me. And so it took me a while to get used to it. But the cool thing about this is you can take this right off, and it has legs that you can open up. And so you can position this, you know, off to the side, in front, wherever. For today's purposes and for videoing, and there's a little slot, if I can find it. Oh, I'm too high. There's a little slot, you turn the knob, and it's attached. So for today's video purposes, this is probably going to be the best view that you're going to get. Yeah, so I am going to pull, and of course I have a full bobbin because I've been working. I always have a full bobbin. So this is alpaca, and this is white Angora, and this is a gray Angora. I am just going to blend these all together. So again, if you're going to ply, and this bobbin becomes my leader. This is my leader that I'm just going to use. I'll know where it's connected. I do this often. I don't always have empty bobbins because I'm always working on different fibers. I purchase farm fibers from different places. I have Angora goat, so I have mohair. I have my Angora rabbit. I have alpaca still left. So whatever I have on my bobbin, this is going to end up being my leader, which is what you're going to connect your bobbins to. I typically, you can put a loop in your leader. Let me see. You can put a loop in it. A lot of times I will just connect it by, and I'm trying to get you in the frame here. I will just connect it by putting a knot. And that's what I'm going to do today. I don't know if that's technically savvy, but that's what I'm doing. So, and I'm going to get this set. The Spinolution has the pegs, which is super nice to work with. They don't have the hooks, so everything just kind of slides over. Now remember, you could do this with 2-ply, you could do this with 3-ply, you can even do a 4-ply. I do have another pin here. It's in my Jeep somewhere. I have to find it. So I could actually put a 4th bobbin here if I wanted to make 4-ply yarn. But the idea is all the same. We've talked about clockwise and counterclockwise spinning. These have all been spun. Typically, all of my spinning I do clockwise on single. These are all clockwise. So I know in order to ply these, I want to reverse that and go counterclockwise. That sets the twist in the yarn. So I'm going to try to see. Let me get this started. And all I'm going to do, and I know you can't see, I've got you on my wheel more so than my hands, but let's see. I am just taking these and they are just being plied into, all together, into a 3-ply yarn. The thing with this setup compared to having it in front of me is you have to watch these lines coming so that they don't get hooked as they're spinning. That's the only thing that it took me to get used to. And I am, in order to film, this is sometimes hard for me to get a good view. In order to film, I am kind of scrunched up here. Typically, I would be a little bit further away, but I want to make sure you can kind of see everything. And actually, I'm going to move you up just a touch, just so you can see my hands a little bit better and what I'm doing. So, and again, this is all going to be the same whether you 2-ply, 3-ply, 4-ply, it's all going to be the same thing. And so I am just twisting, and there is again, these bobbins have been, this ply, this single ply has been on these bobbins for quite a while. So there's some, they're definitely not new spun. And again, I won't, this will be for my own use. I might do some earrings or something out of this. I don't know, for myself. I won't sell this just because it's not, you can kind of see, let's see, can you see on this one? It's very, I don't know if the word is limp, but you can tell that it's just been on this bobbin for a very long time. But for today's purposes, it works perfect, and I can get my bobbins cleared. I am hoping, I would like to do some classes here at our house this summer, some spinning classes, and even though I am very much a Spinolution, whoops, okay, so that was a perfect example of what happens sometimes, and I'm just going to slowly, this is why I prefer to put this down in front of me. It did catch, just a minute, it did catch. So typically I'm going to put the, and it's more difficult with 2 or 3 bobbins instead of the 2 bobbins. Plus I'm talking and not paying attention. So, and I just lost my pin. Let me pause you really quick and readjust everything. Okay, we are back. So yes, typically I will either be paying better attention and not trying to talk to the camera, or I will put my knitting or my Lazy Kate right in front of me. So you do have to watch this one here if you're doing 3-ply, and just to make sure that it's not getting caught in here. And that's what just happened to me. So just to kind of give you, it's a good lesson in what not to do. This is a lot of what not to do's today. So I am going to just continue feeding the yarn in. The wheel does the majority of the work here. And these singles are all plied. They're pretty thin. They are not a thick yarn, and they're pretty consistent. So my 3-ply that's gonna come out of all of this is going to be a pretty, I don't have my card here to show you how heavy it is, but it's going to be a fairly thin yarn, a fairly thin 3-ply yarn. Again, I tend to, I don't always stick to the rules, so a lot of times people do spin Angora thin, and I got in the habit many years ago of spinning thicker Angora because I was working with someone who was buying my yarn, and she wanted it thicker, and so I am in the habit of spinning thicker Angora typically, but this is definitely bobbins that I spun thinner along the way. So, and again, these bobbins are probably, oh, I've had my Spinolution wheels for, I think it's 3 or 4 years now. So these are going to date back 3 or 4 years. And so that's how you are going to ply simple 2, 3, or 4-ply yarn. Again, the principles are all the same no matter how many plies you're doing. And your choice in whether or not you ply 2, 3, or 4 is going to depend on what kind of yarn you're wanting. If you have a specific project in mind, like I said, I usually only ply 2-ply for the most part. It's just what I'm used to doing and what I've always done and what I've always used. So that is 3-ply yarn. And let me see if I can do this without ruining the whole thing. These are all magnetic too, so they just pop in and out, which is super nice. Let me, instead of adjusting the camera, let me see if I can get you. Yep, I sure can. That's 3-ply. The white is my 3-ply that I just did. So I am going to pause the video, and I think I am going to switch out and do center pull ball plying. So let me readjust everything and I'll be right back. Okay, the next technique we are going to look at is center pull ball plying. Why might you want to use this technique? Well, if you're like me, who loves to load bobbins up really full, and multiple bobbins are full and you don't have anything to ply with, or you don't have anything to ply them onto, and I am so guilty of this. I've talked about this before, even with my 3 wheels that I use, and I have 3 bobbins for each one of them. I'm always spinning something different or putting something on the wheels, and I get very guilty of loading all of my bobbins before I do anything with them. So this technique is what I use when I have, and sometimes if I have a full bobbin of just one rabbit, I know it's very specifically to that rabbit, I may just keep it on one bobbin and use this method. It's easy enough to do. It just takes a little hand work, and I will show you how to do it. So I have pulled my Lazy Kate off. It's sitting on the floor with the little legs folded out. These fold in to hang it on the wheel. They fold out. And I have another one of my, I think this is also alpaca. So I have that, and that is an Ashford bobbin. I set up my ball winder right here. So I am just going to make a center pull ball. And so just take me a second here because it's not a lot of yarn. And the trick to this is you want to make sure that you have, I have that center pull line out already. Oops, I don't want to lose it. This does take a little bit of getting used to when you're spinning. Just the hand holding it in the motion. Other than that, it's a real simple way to ply. And I use it quite often just because of my really bad habit of loading up bobbins. And I think there's actually, I may pull all of this fiber right off this bobbin. Looks like there's some dark gray Angora underneath. Yep, and there it was. So this is going to be, it might turn out kind of cool. This is going to be half Angora and half alpaca. And this might be a technique that you use. There's some white yarn as my leader on the bottom. So we have a ball. These make really nice balls, and I am going to find my center, which it should not be this hard. Where did it go? So let me find the center. There it is. And I'm going to grab a different wheel, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have grabbed my Polywog, which is our smallest wheel, but she's a powerhouse. You can see, this is it. She's about knee height to me, a little bit more. She has a built-in Lazy Kate also, and she is, this is it. If you want a small portable wheel for whether it be a small house, I always think if Scott and I started traveling in a trailer or camper, if we ever started doing something like that at some point in our lives, she would be the one I would want. She also has accessories to, she has an accelerator, and you can make her into a little bit bigger wheel, but she does a great job all on her own. So I love my little Polywog. She's great to take to shows and stuff too, or if you're going to spin somewhere, she would be your traveling companion, and I know she fits in a suitcase. So I have my ball that we just made. I have my alpaca, which is white, coming out of the center, and then the Angora And I'm not sure if this is equal parts or how close it's going to be to being equal. I know there's probably less Angora. But if you did not have, another thing I just thought of is if you didn't have a lazy Kate for your bobbins, this might be a great way to ply yarn to make it easier. There are other options, but this would be a great one. So I'm going to pull each of the ends out. Let me just straighten you here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to, this is some mohair on here and some Angora, red Angora and some mohair. And I'm just going to tie a knot in the very end. So that is my leader. And the Polywog is a toe driven, so it's not my whole foot. I just have to use my toes on her. So she's a little bit different. It did take some getting used to, but I love, as a fast spinner, I actually like this because I tend to slow down my pedaling with this, which helps my yarn. It's just makes everything go a little bit smoother. So I do like the toe treadles. So again, everything is spun clockwise, so I'm going to counterclockwise to ply. And all I'm going to do is I am going to, and again, it's hard to get there. Okay, everything's in the screen. I am just working the inside of the ball with the outside of the ball, taking it nice and slow. And as long as you have a nice, I don't know if I'd recommend doing this without a ball winder, because you definitely want some symmetry to your ball the way it's on here, just so that it kind of comes off. The ball winders wind this in such a way that it moves up and down and creates this pattern on the ball. I think those of you who use ball winders know what I'm talking about. So that's nice to have. And if all goes well, I will just sit here and spin right from this ball. You just want to, every now and then you might have to work the ball through your fingers. And again, this won't be yarn that I do anything with. This will be for teaching purposes like this video, or I'll use it for something personal. Maybe I'll spin off all of this stuff into some different skeins. There's not as much here as what I thought there was, but maybe I'll make a shawl or a cowl or something with all of this for myself. Because I know there's alpaca in here. I think there's a little bit of Pygora. There's that CVM. That is a heritage breed, CVM and something else. I got some hay in here. I just need to pick that out. I'm not sure if that came from the yarn ply or if that was just in my office. Sometimes yarn comes in the house, or sometimes hay comes in the house and gets in the yarn. So this is a really simple, easy, there's no, like I said, there's no lazy Kate needed to do this. As long as you're not getting knots in your ball, it's going to be real easy and simple to do, especially if you used a ball winder to do it. And let's see, let me see if I can finish this real quick. I don't want you guys to have to sit here and watch me spin all this, but I'm almost through the ball, and I'll show you once I get to the end. Let me just pause it and let me get through this just a couple minutes here, and then I'll show you how I break the end off. Okay, I have come down to the end of the ball, and I am at where would be the middle part. And typically I will cut this. I didn't bring any scissors over here, so I'm just going to pull it and separate it and spin it off. And so that is a center pole ball, and you can see where the colors switched over. That is a center pole ball ply, 2-ply. So that's a great technique to use if you have a full bobbin that you want to spin onto itself without making 2 separate bobbins. This is a great way to do it. So let me pause again, readjust, and we'll do our Navajo plying. So just give me a second. Okay, so let's move on to Navajo or chain plying. I don't typically spin this way. I can spin this way. It's been a while since I've spun this way, and so I'm practicing. This is the CVM, yes, that's correct, CVM, just a small amount that I had. So we're just going to practice on this, and I have it on the top of the Lazy Kate on my polywog. And so essentially Navajo plying is going to give you a 3-ply, and I'm trying to get the camera angle right because there is a lot of handwork here, and I'm going to try to spin really slow. Again, we're going to go counterclockwise on our spin, and you are making, I have an opening here in my yarn, and I am spinning and then letting that all spin together, and I am pulling up another one and letting that spin together, and another one, and working through that hole, and then letting it feed. So you're always, and this ends up being, can I get a close up? So I've got the circle here in my hand, and I've got the strand that I'm working from the bobbin. And so what happens essentially is you are pulling it through, and when all of those come together, and I know you can't see my hands, let me, when all of those come together as one, you end up with, let me see if I can show you, you end up with 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's where you're getting your 3-ply from. So it is a technique that you have to perfect, that you have to kind of practice, but it is a great way to create a 3-ply yarn. And once you get your hands working together, it just kind of does its thing. So if you can see how I'm holding this and pulling it through the loop, that is how you chain ply. And you just continue this until you have plied it all off. So let me see. So I have a loop here. This is on my bobbin here. And then what's coming up is this 3rd strand from my bobbin on the Lazy Kate. I'm pulling it through and making another loop. And as I spin, all 3 of those plies come together where my hands are here, and that creates a 3-ply yarn. It is a different, it does have a bit of a different look than my other 3-ply yarn. I'll show you here in just a second. I'm almost through, but I want to make sure you can kind of see how my hands are working together. And again, this does take practice. I don't do it often, so it took me a minute to get going again. But once you have it and you're smoothing everything out, you really can't tell. It is a what's the best word? It looks like a very high twist ply to me. It looks very, it's a very strong twist in the Navajo plying. It's almost like, I could see why they call it chain plying, because you're kind of making a crochet. If you know how to crochet chain, that's kind of what you're doing, is you're pulling yarn through the loop, is essentially what this plying method is. So if you were doing a chain with a crochet hook, that's exactly what this is. And that's the look that you're creating. So I am almost through the end of this, and then I'll show you the bobbin. It looks like I got some Angora coming out. I will end it right there at the Angora. Oh, that's a lovely color too. So let me show you what this looks like. And actually it's this right here. This is chain plying. It's a very nice, you're making, you don't see in the yarn the loops that you're making. It just kind of all comes together really nicely. So hopefully you can see that. This was our ball ply. This is our chain ply. And then we had our regular plying. So those are, let me move you up. Let me pause. Okay, so those are 3 methods of plying yarn. The basic methods that anybody could use for pretty much any yarn that you're making, you can do all 3 of those methods. So I don't know if there would be an instance where I would choose one over the other than the things that I talked about, full bobbins, or wanting to, like the Navajo plying, you might pick up because you want to ply 1 bobbin together also. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was informative. If you have any questions, please put them down below. I'm always glad to answer those. I hope it was all clear what I did today. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I hope you get to create something today. Thanks for watching. Bye.